You are walking through a quiet garden, the kind where the only sound is the soft crush of gravel under your shoes and the distant murmur of wind through leaves. You slow down, perhaps without thinking, because something has changed. The air feels slightly more alert. A small bird, a sparrow maybe, or a robin, has stopped its searching on the lawn and lifted its head. It is watching you, not in panic, not in immediate fear, but in a kind of focused stillness, as if it is weighing something invisible. You stand there, barely breathing, and in that pause, something rare begins. A wild bird is deciding whether to trust you. Most people would walk on and never notice this threshold. They would see only a bird being a bird. But what if I told you that in that tiny, easily missed moment, an entire world of unspoken communication is opening up, a language older than words, built on tension and release, on tiny gestures that say, I see you, and I am still choosing to stay. Welcome to The Bird Insight, where we explore these hidden conversations between humans and the wild and the quiet emotions they stir within us. Consider what it really means for a wild bird to hold its ground. Every instinct it carries has been shaped over millions of years to perceive a large, upright mammal like you as a potential threat. Its heart beats hundreds of times a minute. Its muscles are wired for instant flight. To not fly away is already a statement. It is the first, most fragile thread of trust, and it often starts with something almost imperceptible, a relaxation around the eyes, a slight fluffing of the feathers, the gradual lowering of the crest if the bird has one. You might not consciously register these signs, but your own nervous system might respond anyway with a subtle softening of your own posture. A conversation has begun. If you remain still and calm, you might notice the bird returning to its activity, but differently now. A foraging robin that was pecking at the ground in quick, jerky movements may start to move more slowly, more deliberately, keeping one eye tilted toward you. This is not indifference. This is a calculated acceptance of your presence. In behavioral terms, it is called habituation, but that word feels too clinical for what is actually happening. There is a quiet negotiation unfolding. The bird is learning that in this specific moment, you are not acting like a predator. You are acting like a feature of the landscape, like a tree that has unexpectedly appeared and proven itself safe. And as that trust deepens, you might see something that feels almost like a gift. The bird begins to preen. Preening is a deeply vulnerable act. A bird must lower its head, often turning its beak into its own feathers, temporarily reducing its field of vision. To do this near you means that the bird's assessment of danger has dropped below a certain critical threshold. It is no longer merely tolerating you. It is relaxing with you. And if you are someone who has ever struggled to feel truly at ease in the presence of another person, you will understand the weight of that gesture. It says, without words, you are not a danger to me in this soft, unguarded moment. That recognition can land in your chest with surprising force. Then comes the moment that changes everything. The bird, which has been keeping a polite distance, makes a deliberate movement closer. It might be a single hop or a few short steps. It might be so subtle that you doubt your own eyes. But it happens, and often it is accompanied by a specific head position. The bird tilts its head to the side, one bright eye fixing you intently. That head tilt is more than a charming pose. Birds have monocular vision, meaning each eye can see a different view, and by tilting, the bird brings one eye directly to bear, focusing sharply on your face, your hands, your expression. It is trying to read you. In that instant, you are not just being observed. You are being understood in a way that feels startlingly personal. Many people who spend quiet time with birds report a strange sense that the bird is looking at them, not just at a general human shape. This is partly because birds are exceptionally good at recognizing individual human faces. Crows and magpies, for example, can remember faces for years and will even teach their young to recognize specific people who have been kind or unkind. Smaller birds like sparrows or chickadees can learn to associate certain individuals with food, but also with a particular quality of stillness. You become known, and when a wild bird shows that it knows you specifically, the emotional boundary between species starts to feel very thin indeed. Perhaps you have experienced this without ever putting it into words. You are sitting on a bench day after day, and the same little bird appears. At first, it stays far back. Then it comes to the empty end of the bench. Eventually, it might land on the armrest right beside you, so close you could feel the tiny draft from its wings. That progressive closing of distance is a timeline of trust. There is a scientifically observable pattern. As the bird's comfort grows, the flight initiation distance shrinks, but science can only describe the external mechanics. It cannot capture the feeling of being chosen by something that owes you nothing. And then there is the moment of contact. It might be the day a wild bird eats from your hand for the first time. You hold out a few seeds, your palm open, your breathing shallow. The bird lands on a nearby branch and assesses the situation. It leans forward, neck extended, body tense, ready to launch backward at the slightest wrong move. You can almost feel its internal conflict, the ancient caution pulling it away, the curiosity pulling it forward. And then in a burst of tiny courage, it takes the seed and flies off, or more rarely it stays. It grips your finger with feet so light you can barely feel them. Its warmth is surprising. Its small claws are sharp but precise, leaving no pain. In that instant, a wild creature has stepped across a line that evolution spent eons building, and you were part of that decision. When you look at that small, feathered being in your hand, a creature that can navigate continents by starlight, that can hear sounds you will never hear, that builds homes with only its beak and a fierce intelligence, you realize how much of the world's beauty exists outside human concerns. Yet here it is, bridging the gap. It might stay only a few seconds, but those seconds stretch out and fill with meaning. The bird's rapid heartbeat, so close to the surface, might be visible as a tiny flutter in the throat. Its eyes might blink softly. It is a fully wild thing, and it is allowing you to touch its wildness. That is not a small thing. That is a profound act of recognition. After the bird leaves, you are left with something. A quiet joy, yes, but also a kind of ache. It is the awareness that such moments cannot be forced or demanded. They can only be invited through patience, stillness, and a kind of humility that is increasingly rare in human life. The bird does not need you. It does not owe you affection. It simply, in that fragment of time, chose to set aside the distance. That choice is a mirror. It asks you, can you be a creature of peace? Can you be present enough, gentle enough, trustworthy enough that the wild edges of the world lean toward you rather than away? We often think of trust as a human condition built on promises and language, but trust is far older than language. It lives in the pause before flight, in the soft closing of an eye, in the willingness to share a branch with another living soul. When a wild bird trusts you, it is not thinking in words. It is operating on a deeper logic, a felt sense that here, in this moment, it is safe to let go of vigilance. And by witnessing that, you begin to understand something essential about connection itself. Connection is not about possession or control. It is about creating a space where another being can feel so at ease that they forget to be afraid. Maybe there is a lesson here that we carry back into our human relationships. How often do we demand trust rather than earn it? How often do we overlook the small, fragile signals that another person is testing the air around us, deciding whether to take a step closer? The bird teaches us to listen without words, to receive without grasping, and to honor the delicate process of being known. Every interaction with a wild bird who chooses to stay is a tiny masterclass in empathy. And maybe, just maybe, the bird feels something too. We cannot know for certain what passes through the mind of a sparrow or a chickadee, but recent research suggests that birds experience complex states. They can be curious, playful, even affectionate. Some birds form bonds with humans that resemble friendship. There are stories of wild crows bringing trinkets to people who feed them, of robins returning to nest year after year near a particular window. Are these simply transactional relationships, or is there a glimmer of something more, a thread of connection that stretches across the divide of species, reminding us that all living things share a common origin and a common longing for safety and warmth? So the next time you find yourself in a garden or a park and a small bird lands nearby and stays, do not dismiss it. Notice the way your own breathing slows. Feel the quiet privilege of the moment. You have been seen, you have been assessed, and you have been, in some small but significant way, trusted. Perhaps it is not random. Perhaps these encounters are small gifts the world offers us, asking only that we pay attention. Have you ever experienced a moment like this when a wild bird chose to step across the invisible line and trust you? I would love to hear your story in the comments below. Sometimes it is in sharing these quiet, personal experiences that we realize just how connected we truly are. And if this reflection stirred something in you, consider giving it a gentle like and subscribing to the Bird Insight, where we will continue to explore the subtle, beautiful relationships between humans and the feathered lives around us. Thank you for being still long enough to listen. Until next time, may your presence be a soft place for the wild to land.